All right, survive the glass deep. We're about to dive into one of the most intense thought experiments you can possibly imagine. What would it really take, and what would it cost you to survive at the very, very bottom of the ocean? So, here's the challenge. It's not just about visiting the crushing depths of the sea. No, no. It's about living there for 30 straight days, all alone, in a glass room with the abyss just staring right back at you. Think about that for a second. So let's just make this personal. Before we even get into the how, just think about it. Could you do it? Could you actually handle the pressure, the crushing isolation, the just sheer alien weirdness of it all for a whole month? Really? Okay, so let's set the scene. Your journey starts with a descent down, down, down into absolute total blackness. Look, this is no vacation. This is a brutal test of endurance, right at the very edge of what's humanly possible. You're in this tiny, fragile bubble of life, surrounded by a world that basically wants to crush you. So the first question is, how is this even possible, right? The first battle you're fighting isn't in your head. It's against pure physics. So let's take a look at the incredible piece of tech that would be your home, your prison, and, well, your only hope for survival. The core idea here is the pressurized habitat. Its main job? To fight a constant silent war against the ocean. It's basically creating a tiny little pocket of Earth's atmosphere miles and miles below the surface. And you gotta understand, that little pocket is the only thing standing between you and just instant oblivion. So let's talk about your new home. The walls are just a marvel of science. They're this insane mix of reinforced acrylic and titanium, strong enough to hold back miles of water, but they're crystal clear. You get a 360-degree front row seat to a world almost no human has ever seen. And everything else on this list, the waste cycling, the backup power, the emergency beacon, it's all about one thing: keeping you alive when, not if, something goes wrong. And you've got to think of these life support systems as your invisible, tireless roommates. They never sleep. They're constantly working in the background, splitting water molecules to make the very air you breathe, scrubbing out the poisonous CO2 you exhale. They're even recycling every single drop of moisture. And make no mistake, if just one of these systems fails, game over. The mission is done. Okay, so let's say the engineering is perfect. The machine is holding up. Now the focus shifts, because even if the habitat is safe, the environment it creates is still profoundly unnatural. The next battle isn't with the ocean, it's waged inside your own body. 40. Just let that number sink in. That's 40 atmospheres of pressure. It's trying to crush your little room at every single moment. To put that in perspective, that's like having a full-size school bus balancing on every single square foot of the outside of your habitat. And even though you're safe inside, on some deep primal level, your body knows something is very, very wrong with the world. And this is the physical price you pay. Without the normal stresses of, walking around, your body basically starts to eat itself. Your muscles just waste away. Your bones lose density. It's a lot like what astronauts go through in zero-G. Your immune system just tanks. You are literally physically decaying day by day. And then there's the sun, or the complete lack of it. Down there, there's no sunrise, no sunset, nothing. The only light is the faint, kind of spooky glow of bioluminescent creatures floating by. Your internal body clock, your circadian rhythm, gets thrown into absolute chaos. Sleep becomes this erratic, broken thing. It's less about resting and more about just desperately escaping for a few hours. So we've talked about the machine, we've talked about the body, but the final frontier, the most dangerous space in this whole experiment, is the 6 inches between your ears. Your mind. This, right here, is where the real test begins. The journey your mind takes down there follows a predictable and, frankly, terrifying path. Day 1, it's all awe and wonder. Look at that view. But that fades. And by day 10, it's replaced by a soul-crushing monotony. Then, around day 20, the paranoia kicks in. Every little creak of the hull, every flicker of the lights, you start thinking, is this it? By the end, you literally can't even trust your own senses. And if you were to break down your average day after that first week, it would look something like this. Half your day is just pure mind-numbing boredom. A quarter of it is raw anxiety. You spend a little time on tasks, and that tiny little slice of awe, it becomes this fleeting memory you're desperately trying to hold on to. But the weight of the other 90% is just, it's overwhelming. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The true pressure isn't the water outside. The engineers can build a machine to handle that. But there is no machine, no piece of technology that can handle the crushing pressure of the silence inside. So let's fast forward. Day 30. You made it. The hatch opens and you're back on the surface. You've won the challenge. You survived. But every victory has a price. So what's the final tally? What did you gain and what did you lose down there? I mean, on the one hand, what you gain is monumental. You have a perspective no human has ever had before, you've brought back priceless scientific data, and you have the ultimate story of endurance. But look at the other side of the ledger. You've lost a stable sense of reality. You feel this profound disconnection from the human world. And maybe the biggest thing, the person you were before you went down, that person is gone. So yeah, you survived. But are you the same person who descended into the dark? That's the real question, isn't it? Because survival is one thing, transformation is something else entirely. An experience this extreme doesn't just give you a new memory, it fundamentally rewrites who you are. The trauma and the wonder, they're part of your DNA now. And so that's the final question we'll leave you with. After 30 days in the deep, after a month of staring into the abyss and feeling it stare back, what would you see differently in the light? How would you feel about the simple things, like the sun on your face, the noise of a crowd, the feeling of solid ground under your feet? What becomes precious? What really matters when you come back from a place that has nothing?